and welcome to the Tavern Chat Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Tenkar, your bartender in the OSR, your main proprietor at Tenkar's Tavern Blog, and this is May 30th, 2020, and I'm watching various cities get burned. Yeah, I know. It's like, what the fuck, man? It's supposed to be a gaming podcast. Well, you know what? We've been gaming with COVID-19 in the background, and now COVID-19 has taken place, taken a back seat to...
Yeah, I guess it's not that big a deal anymore.
Yeah. You know, we've defeated COVID, and now we're going to burn down our major metropolitan areas.
Without masks.
With bandanas on.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let's.
They're wearing face coverings.
They're wearing face coverings.
My bad.
So, what am I talking about? We're talking about the protests that have erupted, because of, in my retired yet professional opinion, some of the worst police tactics I've ever seen with a prisoner that was already cuffed and in control. You don't kneel on that person's neck. I'm going to be one of those people going to go, I'm glad the officer in question was fired. I'm glad they're being charged with the crime. And I'm disappointed in the officers that were with him for not correcting it. Again, I spent 20 years in law enforcement, and I know emotions get beyond people at times. Cops are people. And sometimes you need other co-workers, friends, to remind you when you suddenly get into that zone. So, I've been spending the night listening to, watching CNN and listening to the NYPD's Citywide 1. Citywide 1 there's two general citywides they use, Citywide 1, Citywide 2. Generally speaking, if it's not a major detail or a major protest times, channels are used to run license checks, arrest checks, stuff like that. They're not really used, but tonight it's being used pretty much by, Manhattan's response to these, I'm going to loosely call it protests, and then I'm going to make caveat. I worked a detail about a year before I retired, and it was the protests that the NYPD specifically had because the NYPD basically had an officer choke out someone who was resisting arrest, and it led to a large number of protests. And I understandably, rightfully so, but here's the issue. Okay, and again, I'm straying off gaming, and I do apologize. But if you look at these protesters, if you look at the ones that are instigating the destruction, if you look at the ones that are instigating acts of violence, they are not people of the community that you're looking at. What do I mean? In the case of the NYPD, the two women arrested for throwing a Molotov cocktail at an occupied NYPD patrol car yesterday were from the Catskills. They're not, these are professional, all right, maybe not professional agitators, but these are agitators that come out for events like this to get those that feel disenfranchised riled up. And the problem is that the neighborhoods being destroyed are not those of the people that are linchpinning or organizing these protests. With the Eric Gardner situation, I wound up making an arrest, and my arrestee came from Maryland, of all places. Actually, when we made the arrest, I don't think anybody was a local. Nobody was from New York City or even New York State or even the Northeast. Somebody else was from Delaware. Um, the girl that I arrested in her young 20s, at least the NYPD in these mass arrest situations, they take a photo of the arresting officer and their arrestee together. So when you have this large number of people going push through the system, you can always match up the people by going, all right, this officer with this arrestee, because we have a Polaroid. She wanted a copy of the Polaroid of her and I know. As a souvenir of being arrested.
Of course, that was the biggest day of her life.
So, that's where my issue is. I'm looking at CNN right now, and they're going through New York, Philly, Salt Lake City, L.A. They're showing everywhere, and to be honest with you, the destruction is extremely upsetting to me. Anytime this stuff happens, it's extreme, not just because I was a police officer, and now I'm retired, all right? But the neighborhoods being destroyed, the commercial districts being destroyed, are generally in the areas being served by the protesters that actually do live in the area. They destroy their own neighborhoods. But in this case, they're being, I believe, instigated from people outside. And what do you want to say? Antifa or whatnot. And again, this is just, I'm watching this and my mouth is agape. You know, watching the destruction and the burning of businesses, cars, and property and violence and bricks. This isn't what this country's about. It really isn't. And I'm not saying there isn't injustice. There is injustice. And I hate to say it, but that's part of the human condition. It just is. But I find this whole... And have it happen in the midst of what we're still dealing with COVID-19, when we're still dealing with the pandemic. This is just going to reflame the pandemic. If you're like me and you're a little upset about these conventions that have been canceled or moved online, well, I think we're going to have another flare-up of COVID-19 in a lot of these metropolitan areas because of this. And, yeah, not good. So sorry for straying off my normal role-playing topics. This is real life. This is what's happening now. And although my neighbors, my college neighbors, are out there partying, if you can hear them, because they don't need an excuse to party. I understand that, and God bless them. But I'm watching scenes that remind me of Beirut or Palestine, and it's sad. All right, folks. On that note, I guess fuck it, right? Why bother telling you to social distance? Because people aren't worried about that, right? They'd rather go out there and loot some stores and burn some shit, and throw some bricks, and take brass knuckles. I'm sorry. Part of me, as a retired cop, feels a little bit guilty that I am not out there protecting my city. And at the same time, there's a large part of me going, holy fuck, thank God I'm retired and I don't have to be out there dealing with this shit. So, alright folks, so tomorrow will probably be the last episode for a day or two. Maybe not. Got my procedure on Monday. Might be out Monday. Might be home Monday. I might be up to the podcast. We'll see. In any case, I should see you all tomorrow. Oh, talk to you all tomorrow night. I'm going to say something that, COVID or not, stay safe, stay home. Avoid these areas. No good is going to happen. I don't care what side of the you feel you're on. This is just a shit show. So, do what you can to keep yourself and your family safe. All right, folks. Be safe, be well, God bless, roll those dice well, and I will talk with you all